Hey guys, it's Jeremy here on Metal Music Meltdown, back with another video. What we have for you today, guys, is the next installment of my top 10 albums of each year. If you're new to the channel, welcome. What I've been doing is giving my top picks of each year, starting back in 1970, where metal all began, and working my way through the years chronologically until present date. So we're finally into the 2000s, so if you're new into the channel, definitely check out my playlist for the 70s, 70s, 80s, and 90s. But let's jump right in, guys. So this will be the first year breaking into the 2000s, the year 2000 itself. And it was a pretty solid year for metal, some really good gems in there. But it wasn't obviously as easy as picking albums from like the 80s and the kind of prime of metal, but definitely better than the 90s in general. So number 10, I have Overkill's 11th studio album, Bloodletting. Pretty solid album. Definitely not their best, but good enough to make the list. These guys never disappoint. Great thrash band from New Jersey. Everyone should know these guys, but definitely check out their whole discography. Really good band. At number 9, I have Dead Heart in a Dead World by Nevermore. Really good band. A little bit darker and heavier than Queensryche, have the kind of sound. I like them better than Queensryche personally. This is a really solid album. Definitely one of my favorites from their discography. If you're not familiar with them, definitely check them out. Really good band. At number 8, I have White Pony by Deftones. This was my introduction to the band. Really like their sound. They have a very unique sound. Kind of depressive, kind of a weird, atmospheric, moody kind of thing. And Chino's vocals are very unique and very kind of have a weird kind of delivery to them, but it really matches it really well. And I love this album. Grew up listening to it when I was younger, and it's great stuff. At number 7, I have the second studio album by Soulfly. It's the band that Max Cavalera put together after he left Sepultura. And great band. I love everything Max touches. All his projects are great. Definitely one of my metal heroes. And this, excuse me, guys. This album was really solid, really good album. Not too much to say much about it, but if you like Max, you'll like this album. And number 6, this might be a surprise to a lot of people, but Linkin Park's Hybrid Theory. I don't care about a lot of metalheads like, oh, Linkin Park, it's new metal, it's garbage. That's one of the bands I really got into in the 2000s when I was listening to music in that time frame. Love this album. One Step Closer, Crawling were singles, and in the end, it was another one. Monster album in terms of sales, and my ex-girlfriend at the time was really into this band too. We went to see them a bunch of times, and I just really like Linkin Park. Have most of their stuff, and rest in peace, Chester. Always loved his vocals. Really, really good. At number 5, I have Follow the Reaper by Children of Bodom. It's their third studio album. I always loved Children of Bodom. They've been on my list the last time as well. I love all their stuff pretty much. Alexi was a great frontman for melodic death metal and great guitarist. He's definitely sorely missed and died way too young. But a great solid release from these guys. They didn't put out a weak album in my opinion. I really like all their stuff. At number 4, I have We Are Motorhead by the Mighty Motorhead. One of my favorite bands of all time. Lemmy Was a God. This is their 15th studio album. Once again, killer artwork, really killer album. God Save the Queen is on this one. And We Are Motorhead, the title track, is really sick as well. Really cool lyrics. And you can't go wrong with Motorhead. I know their albums all kind of sound similar, but they rip every time and fucking amazing. At number 3, I have In Flames with their 5th studio album, Clayman. One of my favorite albums from them, from the earlier material. Really good stuff. I like all of In Flames material, to be honest with you. I wouldn't be surprised if almost all their albums make my list going forward. But this is a really solid album. Really enjoyed it with songs like the title track, Pinball Map, Only for the Weak is a killer song as well. I think this was my introduction to the band, maybe. This one or the album after it, I think, was my introduction to In Flames. I got into them a little bit later on. But I love this band. Always been one of my favorites. At number 2, I have Dope Throne by third studio album called Dope Throne by Electric Wizard. Really killer, stoner, doom band. Really love these guys. All their stuff is pretty solid. They just have that really cool stoner kind of rock vibe to them. Longer albums, but never boring. Really interesting to listen to. Really killer album cover as well. And definitely check these guys out if you're not familiar with them. Really killer stuff. And at number 1, excuse me guys, being over a cough. It had to be Iron Maiden, Brave New World. Arguably one of the best comeback albums in metal history. It's when Bruce rejoined the band in 2000, obviously. Really killer album. In my opinion, the best album since Bruce came back. There hasn't been anything that came after it that was as good. Or some close, but not quite as good as this. I'm more of a fan of their early stuff. Our first 7 albums are godlike. But Brave New World is easily number 8. And it's a really solid album. Still listen to it with high rotation. And just love it to bits. So let me know down below, guys, what your top picks for 2000 would be. If there's any albums I might have missed. I was thinking of putting Immolation on there. They're really good as well. There's a couple other artists that didn't quite make the list. But definitely list below any bands I might have missed or albums. And give me your picks for the year. And stay tuned for the year 2001 coming shortly. And until next time, guys, keep it metal.